Hello and welcome to the Short Fall Show. My name is David and I'm happy to have you here today with me. This show is sponsored by Gorilla Trades. Please check them out, link in the description. And we are coming into another day of the slow continued rally. That little pop yesterday appears to be over. We did get there was a message on the hold on one second. I got to turn this music off. It distracts me. There we go. There was a message on the Facebook page yesterday saying, I got long UVXY around 11 and change. What should I do? And most of us just said, get out, dude. Now, it's hard when someone asks a specific question about trading. I'm not a licensed financial advisor, so I'm reticent to give my opinion. Plus, I want people to make their own decisions and stuff. But if someone specifically asks my opinion, I usually give it. And most of us are kind of on the same page with this UVXY stuff. If you bought it and you're holding on to it, you're long it. If stuff doesn't work in your favor pretty quick, then it's time to bail out. And I know you got in at a certain price and you don't want to book a loss, but being able to book a loss is a skill that you need as a trader. You need to be able to get out. You need to be able to pull the trigger to get out at a loss before it gets worse sometimes. The things could have been different. The market could have gone way down today, and UVXY could have gone way up, and it wouldn't have worked out to get out. And we'll find out, I guess, later whether that guy actually did get out or when he got out. But it was a little pop yesterday, and it didn't really follow through, as is usually the case with pops in vol. The VIX is mean reverting. It comes back. If it goes up, it comes back to a mean. Now, what the mean is a good question right now. Of course, we have been moving lower in sort of the range, but let's take a look for a second at the chart for the VIX over the last couple months. And you're going to see that depending on which time frame you look at, you're going to get different ideas for what the mean is. So let me minimize myself a little bit here so that you can see a little bit better. But this is the chart for, I think this is 2 years, something like that. Or actually, no, I'm sorry, it's 1 year. And you can see that big spike in February. But if you look at where we are right now, which is that little orange section right there, it looks like we're kind of sort of in the middle of the range, but you can tell that we're on a big downtrend since that spike. If we back this up to 3 years, now it's a different story. It looks like, well, very hard to tell what's going on. We're sort of in the lower end for 3 years, but you can tell that we were in this lower area for a long time before that spike. So do we go back to where we were before the spike? It kind of appears that we are headed back down towards 10. When these things start trending, it takes a lot to kind of turn them around, and it appears that we're trending back downward on this thing. Now, of course, anything can happen. We don't know what's going to happen, but it's hard to figure out what the mean is or where things are going to go back to from when you look at a chart like that particular one there. Wow, I was watching Handmaid's. I just caught up on my Handmaid's Tale from yesterday. That's Wednesday nights on Hulu. I was able to sell my folks on Game of Thrones eventually, and I've gotten them to watch some other stuff. I watched Billions. I haven't totally sold them on Westworld, but I put Handmaid's Tale on for my dad for a little while, and he just was not interested at all. It's must-see television as far as I'm concerned, but it's a hard sell because, well, if you haven't seen Handmaid's Tale before, it's about a dystopian future. Dystopian, easy translation for that is a bad future where religious fundamentalists have taken over New England, and they changed it into a place they call Gilead. and basically pollution has taken away the ability of most women to get pregnant, and so it's very hard to bring new children into the world. So what they've done is that they've captured all the women who are still fertile, and they've enslaved them as surrogate moms for the wives of the powerful in this patriarchal society. And they call them handmaids, and it's the tale of one such handmaid who is struggling against this. And Canada is like an escape. All these people have escaped to Canada, which is sort of like is still operating like the U.S. used to, and it's just a whole thing. It's great must-see television, so you should check it out if you haven't seen it yet. I definitely highly recommend it. But this current TV cycle is just about over. All the shows I've been watching, Billions, Westworld, and Handmaid's Tale, and The Expanse. And all these shows are about to end. Like, the cycle is about to end for all these shows. So you have to find a new obsession as far as TV goes. Now, Elizabeth Moss is the star of Handmaid's Tale, and she's really great. I've loved a whole lot of stuff that she's been in. I'm trying to find the other name of the great one she was in. I think it's called Top of the Lake. It's this show, this mini-series where she is a detective in New Zealand, which is really awesome. Top of the Lake it's called. So I highly recommend that. I am a bit Elizabeth Moss. The only thing that kind of bugs me is that she's one of those Scientology crazies. So it kind of makes me lose slight respect for her. If you are into Handmaid's Tale, though, there's a great YouTuber called Steve Varney who does great breakdowns of the shows. That's the thing now with TV is like you watch a TV show and then you watch the breakdowns on YouTube. It's like a whole thing these days. Anyway, back to trading. We have seen the markets were negative overnight. When I woke up real early, things were negative, but now they've moved back decidedly to the positive. E-mini's up 9.5 now, and with that, the VIX getting toasted. UVXY indicated back below 10. I had some sort of issue, and I actually got out of my position and then got back into it yesterday for a slight loss. But anyway, so I have a similar position that I did before. I'm long DC9 puts. I bought one August 9 put. But basically just short UVXY here. We are coming into expiration next week, and we have seen that the spread between the spot and the futures really tighten, partially due to we're coming on expiration, but also partially due to the VIX kind of spiking upward yesterday. I hesitate kind of to use the term spike for every up move in the VIX. It's kind of like the cool thing to say these days. Anytime the VIX is up, it's a spike. But a spike should really be reserved for a significant move upward, which we didn't really have yesterday. Let's take a look just at the VIX yesterday. So this is coming into today. Let's see if we can widen that out a little bit. So here's the spike, here I see I'm doing it myself. Here's the move yesterday. Let me pull this chart in a little bit so that you can see it better. It's kind of, let's see if I can get it a little bit better here. And I was actually away from my computer when this stuff was going on yesterday, but there's the move yesterday. Obviously we did have the Fed raise rates yesterday, but and you can see the gray is after hours, and the darker, more blackish type gray is during the day, and you can see it just in the after hours give back everything that it gained to the upside. And but this is an opportunity to get short here, a great opportunity to get short if you're willing to jump in and actually pull the trigger. It's tough because a lot of people are kind of gun shy after that big spike in February, and it's like, because remember in the run up to the spike February, there were a couple days where vol was up, and I was kind of proud of myself. I laid off of selling anything the first day or two that vol was up, and then I started selling stuff, and it just started to go against, and then the big spike. So I understand why people are kind of afraid to sell into these little pops, but right now that's all we've really been getting is little pops. And if you did sell into this, you could book a profit just day to day. If you sold that yesterday on the close, you could buy it back this morning. Let's switch from the chart of the VIX to the chart of UVXY here. And obviously showing a similar action here. Meanwhile, this whole time with a spike and everything, it's very noticeable that we've just stayed in what is becoming heavier and heavier contango. So if I pull up the term structure here, now contango up to 8.5%. But even with that up move yesterday and going in overnight, we were still at 6% contango. So stuff is staying in contango, and that is causing real decay and losing value for UVXY and TVIX that is just gone. And so that's working on this the whole time. So drag is increasing. Keep that in mind. I have people asking me, well, constantly people are asking me, well, VIX is low now. Is this a good time to jump into TVIX or UVXY? Well, VIX is low. That's true. And so, there's, but that's only one element. The other element is that the drag on this stuff is getting more and more. And, we should see weekend effect tomorrow and stuff coming into the weekend here. It's really going to depend on where we are as far as the spread between the cash and the future, or the spot and the future. Right now, the spread is about 50 cents. If that widens a lot more today, then we will anticipate a big crush tomorrow. But right now, 50 cents seems perfectly reasonable. It could stay at 50 cents going into tomorrow or going into Monday. 50 cents is much more reasonable than like $1.30. If we saw $1.30 in the roll yield right now, then we'd be looking for a really big crush. But VIX here 12.28. It could easily dip below 12 again today if we keep rallying here. Let's take a look at major news stories today. One of the news stories yesterday that was interesting was that I guess they showed a video before the meeting in Singapore that was kind of like it looked like it was one of those North Korean propaganda videos, but it was actually produced by the White House. And so there's been a lot of chatter about that in the news. Because I sort of lean left, I like to pull up the news stories that kind of lean right, because it kind of balances things out for the audience here. Congress to ban child sex robots. I don't know what that means at all. Let's take a look at that. Well, I guess they've made up child sex robots, and they're going to ban them. I didn't know such a thing existed. That's very bizarre. Anyway. Report expected to condemn FBI violations in Clinton email investigation. Blah, 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 blah. It doesn't look like anything interesting is happening right now. Let's go to investing.com. European Central Bank left interest rates on hold Thursday in what was a widely anticipated decision. And the headlines are kind of mixed because you'll see this in days where we were down for a while overnight, and then we're just rallying kind of right before the open here. And so they were set to have headlines explaining why we were down, and now we're not down. So it's like a big nothing. All right, so let's check out Nick here. So let's see. US dollar is down, crude is up. September 30-year bond is up 19 ticks. Gold is trading up. Okay, retail sales is out at 8:30. What time is it? We're after 8:30 now. Okay. So all this stuff just came out, which I haven't seen yet. I haven't digested yet, unemployment and stuff. Let's take a look at, see what CNBC is saying right now. And we have, it looks like gold is up 10, almost $11 right now. And the rally is still on. E-minis up 7, NASDAQ up 22. Seems like things are back to normal with a slow rally here, folks. So, yeah, it was a selling opportunity yesterday for UVXY. Currently indicated 992, bid at 994. This stuff is just going to keep melting if we continue with the slow rally here. So, to those who sold something yesterday, congrats. To those who bought something, you might want to consider bailing, because I just see this thing just kind of rolling lower again. I sometimes get in conversations on StockTwits with people about technical analysis and how somebody yesterday left a quote. It said, let me pull it up here, talking about how there's resistance at a certain number in a VIX product. Here we go. UVXY, next resistance is 1092 after another $1 up. And so they're saying that there's resistance in UVXY price. And you know what? UVXY is based on two futures, a mix of two futures. And how you can come up with that, a mix of two futures being a certain resistance at a certain number, I don't understand. And that was my point. And I understand how people, they study technical analysis and it makes sense to them, and they watch all these videos on technical analysis, and so they try to apply it to UVXY. But I don't see how a certain point, it's not like there are a whole bunch of, the theory is, if UVXY was just a stock, okay, and it's just being traded, there's buyers and sellers in the market for it, then maybe if everybody's looking at these certain charts and they think there's a certain spot where there's psychological resistance or a certain point on the chart that corresponds to like a Fibonacci or some sort of significant point that everybody's looking at, then maybe it would be hard to get through that, or people are leaving stops there or something. But this isn't a stock. And so it's confusing to me why people have these ideas. It was this area right here. They were saying there was resistance. This is about the VIX. It's not about resistance. It's about what is the SPX doing? What are are people buying or selling puts in the SPX? That's what it comes down to in the end. Is volatility expanding or contracting in the puts that make up the VIX? And then that gets extrapolated to, okay, well, are people buying futures or selling futures on the VIX? And then that gets extrapolated, and then that corresponds to the price in UVXY. So there's no such thing as resistance at a certain point in UVXY. And you know, it's like now that I got that yellow badge on StockTwits, I'm kind of hesitant to lay into people because I don't want to be like overly harsh. I feel like responsibility to like be responsible, but at the same time, it can't stand when people put this technical analysis gibberish in there. It's gibberish, and hopefully they learn that. And you know, if you're too harsh to somebody about contradicting them, they're not going to learn anything. They're just going to think that you're a jerk. And I don't want that guy, Soul or whatever, to think I'm a jerk. I want to try to explain to him why I don't believe in technical analysis. And, you know, maybe he can convince me of something. Maybe he actually has a point, but I haven't been convinced of it. So as we move into the market today, I am just long puts, and they are decaying over time, and so I need to do something against them. If we can get a down move here, we got down to 977 yesterday. See if we break through that today. If we could get down to like $9, maybe I would sell something against the puts I'm long. We'll have to wait and see. Anyway, so that's what's going on today. I appreciate you watching. Sorry if I'm a little long-winded. It's great to have you come and check this channel out every day, and I will see you back. I will not be here tomorrow. I have to work a side job all day, but you will hear from me soon. Probably we'll make up the show on Saturday. So great to have you here. Thanks for watching, and I will talk to you soon.
Volatility is not a pit, it's a ladder. The VIX goes up and down, but contango losses are forever. Volatility is not a pit, it's a ladder. The VIX goes up and down, but contango losses are forever. Volatility is not a pit, it's a ladder. The VIX goes up and down, but contango losses are forever.
Looking out across